Hi, this is Priscilla with CrossFit 1088, and welcome to part 6 of our 7-part kettlebell series, where in every episode I show you one exercise that you can include into your workouts to make them more effective, and that is including a kettlebell. So today's exercise for this episode is going to be the kettlebell cluster, and it is a combination of a squat clean and a thruster. Now, if you've never heard of either of those terms, it's okay. You can simply watch this, watch my demonstration, and follow along, and you too will be doing the kettlebell cluster. If you were with us last week, you saw I did the kettlebell snatch, and you're going to see some things in this episode that are very similar to last week's. If not, you can look below here and click on the link, and it'll take you back to last week's, and you can see a movement that's a little bit different and yet a little similar to what you see today. Like the kettlebell snatch, this one is a little bit more complicated, and so we're going to go right into the setup, and I'm going to talk you through how to do the movement, and then at the end we'll talk about some pointers, things that you want to think about while you're doing the movement. So let's get set up. Here is my kettlebell. I'm going to place it in between my feet. My toes are going to be slightly turned out. I'm going to hinge at my hips and kick my butt back. The hand that I'm not using is going to go directly behind me. The hand that I am using is going to be straight. On this movement, I am going to clean my kettlebell, which means I'm going to pull and bring it to my shoulder height. So that's the first thing I do. At the same time, I'm going to squat. As I come up, I'm going to press that kettlebell to the ceiling, and then I'm going to bring it back down, and that completes one rep. Then I'm going to switch sides. So other hand goes behind, arm is straight. I'm going to clean and pull that kettlebell to my shoulder. I'm going to squat the kettlebell, and then as I come up, I'm going to push or thrust that kettlebell to the ceiling so that my arm is straight and it's right by my ear. Let me do a few of these at the speed that you would see them done. So there were a couple of them, one on each side. If you notice, I didn't actually come all the way up to my shoulder before I squat. I pulled and I squatted at the same time, and then when I came up, I extended my arm. So those 3 pieces, the clean, the squat, and then the press, are all blended into one movement. You can also see that I only work one arm at a time, and so this is going to be a challenge, especially if you have a weaker side or a less coordinated side. And that's one of the good things about this exercise, though, is that it helps even out the weight and even out your coordination and your strength on either side. Let me go ahead and demonstrate this from the side so you can just see how my body moves through it. Hips back, abs tight, back flat. As deep of a squat as you can get, and then press it up. Nice and tall, arm is fully extended. Here's the other side. And so that is the actual cluster movement. Now in the previous video I showed how to bring that kettlebell down. It's the same thing as it was in the kettlebell snatch. So once you have that kettlebell all the way over your head, what you want to do is lower your elbows straight down. The kettlebell stays outside the arm, and then you're going to bring that kettlebell down in front of you. And that way it doesn't come anywhere close to your face. You're keeping it right where it needs to be. Same thing on the other side. Once you're up into that extended position, that elbow comes down and the kettlebell goes down in front. If you keep the kettlebell back by your heels, that will help. Keep the core tight, that'll help. If you have problems with getting low in your squat, your hips are stiff, or maybe you have a bad knee, I would suggest using a box or a ball, and every time you go into that squat, make sure you're tapping that box, and that way you're teaching your body to go deep into the depth that you want, and certainly you work at a depth where you are now, and then you progress until you can get your hips lower. Ideally, you want to get your hips beneath your knee crease so that you're getting low before you stand up. And that is the kettlebell cluster. So add that into your workouts this week. Make a comment below. Let us know how it's going. If you like this video and you're enjoying this series, please like it and subscribe to our channel so you can find out more. And then stay tuned for next week's Last part of our kettlebell series.